John Harris at smallballsuccess.com, where we try to dig back to the dead ball era in order to find ways that mostly kids of smaller stature or young men of smaller stature can compete against the big guys in today's game. I obviously write and video and devote myself more to hitting. I've always said I'm not a pitching coach. I've never been a pitcher. I don't claim to have any particular knowledge, certainly no professional knowledge about how to pitch, but it's part of the game. And my son was a pitcher for a long time. It certainly interests me. And I think if one applies certain principles, a certain amount of science, of scientific method to pitching or to anything, one can discover some useful insights. Now, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to splice into this video a demonstration where I'm just kind of reviewing for you what I call the 10 o'clock angle. It's a very low overhand angle. It's almost, if we call this 9 o'clock, of course, it's just a tick above the sidearm angle. And this is an angle from which a lot of guys back in the 20s and 30s would throw, and they didn't have medical professionals, they didn't have Dr. Andrews and guys doing surgery, Tommy John surgery on their elbow. They didn't really understand very much about arm health at all. They would just be expected to go out there and throw until their arm fell off, which it kind of did sometimes. But it's amazing how durable they were, and many of them threw from an angle something like that. I'm going to show you in this demonstration what I think is the best way. And again, this is just basic logic. I've talked about this before in other videos. If you throw with your leg coming out a little bit toward the first base side, if you're throwing right-handed toward the first base side, and then you sweep with your forward arm in that same plane and follow through, of course, with your throwing hand, all of this, you're trying to get it in that plane, in the same plane, so that your energy is not leaking out along the sides. If you're stepping straight toward the plate, but your arm isn't coming over somewhere close to the vertical plane that you've created by your step, if your arm's trying to come this way, then I just can't see how your energy is being effectively channeled in the same direction. Now, yeah, it's true that you can hurt your arm, and you can certainly miss the strike zone by falling away in this fashion, but that happens, as we've found in our experiments, when, as so often, pitchers are told to get their balance over the rubber, and then they're stretching their arm out and cocking it even before they start toward home. One thing I want you to notice in the demonstration is that my hand doesn't really reach the point where it's going to fire the ball until my chin gets out of my forward. This is how I think of it to myself anyway, until my chin gets out of my forward shoulder. I do a little hop on my knee, not literally off the ground, but I try to get down on that back knee to get some extra thrust. And then my chin, I'm actually doing a little early right now because I'm just performing for this little camera in front of me, but you'll notice that my hand doesn't really come up until I'm well on my way toward home plate. And again, my chin is getting out of my forward shoulder. So there's a little bit of a problem perhaps finding the strike zone, but hey, there is from any pitching motion. And it's something that with practice you can find your slot. Hey, it's hard for hitters to pick up that pitch coming in from that angle too. I'm going to try to, in the demonstration, I do note that I just happen to notice this as I was throwing, that there's even a difference in whether you're throwing a two-seamer or a four-seamer. So you can get the ball in this plane to do a lot of interesting things that are going to make life a little more difficult for the hitters, and that's the name of the game. So let's just go look at that. just about came back to me. It's interesting, not really surprising. If I hold it with the seams, it moves down and away from the right-handed hitter. If I hold it across the streams, it kind of moves back toward the hitter, it comes back. That one I got on top of. I want to throw it like this, stay inside of it, and not get on top of it. And there I overcorrected, knocked the hitter down. And that was perfect. I'm going to throw this with the seams. And yeah, sure enough, it's almost like a slider, but it doesn't have a sudden break, so it's probably not going to fool anyone, but still, might be a good place to throw a left-hander. I don't know if I could hit the outside corner. That was pretty close. If I could hit the outside corner, a righty might give up on that. And that's, what was I going to say? I don't know, I forgot. Yeah, I was going to say at the end of that last round, it is entirely possible, in fact very easy, to build in a little hesitation on this. If you don't have runners on base, that could just make your ball look that much faster because you're throwing the hitter's timing off. Now you can see my target this time. Trying to hit the green. Just a tad outside. And that got the corner of what I was aiming at. A little wider than a plate, but really not. I'm shooting for the outer half of that green. I'm going against the seams. I almost acted a little like a slider, but I got on top of it. I need to stay inside of it. Dang. I definitely wasn't trying to throw anything with a spin, but I did anyway. I'm spinning these and I'm not trying to. There we go. I got on the inside part. So most of this was just learning how to hit your spots. You have to do that with any sort of motion, but it's easy on the arm. Feel a workout in the muscle right there, but that's good. I'm throwing pretty much in that plane where I'm going from up here to down here. It's a very low overhand angle, about 10 o'clock, and I'm falling open instead of striding toward the plate because I want all of my energy going in that plane. Why would I have, step toward the plate and then have the arm working in another plane? That's going to lose power, it seems to me. I'm not some kind of high-paid hitting guru, but that just makes sense to me.